Welcome back to Jedi Enclave. I'm Daniel.
I'm Chris.
This is another episode of the Jedi Enclave Presents Now. This is Podcasting Podcast, and if you are one of our 7 Twitch followers, you are in luck today because you're the only one seeing the live stream.
Exclusive.
Wow. Also, I guess if you're listening in on Discord, you're hearing it. But for some reason, Streamlabs OBS just will not let me go live on YouTube. And I think it's probably a YouTube problem. But anyway, here we are. This is your weekly, our weekly, not yours, we own it. Yeah. Our weekly live show about Star Wars and other science fiction, fantasy things that we like. And we are running a little bit late, but that's fine. We're
just going to speed run through this intro, get straight to the business.
Star Wars news.
Mm-hmm.
There was a trailer for House of the Dragon season 2.
5 trailers this week.
Yeah, there was
House of the Dragon.
The final trailer for House. Yeah, the final trailer for House of the Dragon. Rings of Power had its first season 2 trailer.
What's the other thing?
There was
Agatha.
There was a little teaser for that. I do have a shorter Star Wars story time.
Mm-hmm.
If you're here listening to the podcast, the time codes are in the description of the video. You can go check that out. And a big thank you to Connor at the Star Wars Hub and Star Wars Veritas. And then if you could
like, comment, subscribe.
Do us a favor and join us on Discord too, because that's a lot of fun. After this, 7:00 will be our God. I hope that YouTube thing fixes itself before.
Probably won't.
I will probably restart my PC before just to make sure.
Okay. We're on season 3.
Season 4.
4.
After tonight, we'll be halfway through the show.
Okay.
Which is kind of a big achievement.
Halfway by seasons or by episodes or by runtime?
By season. There are 8 total seasons.
Yeah.
Tonight's season 4.
I know the last couple have less episodes.
Fewer episodes, but also longer episodes.
Okay.
So there are episodes in the 8th season that are an hour and a half long.
Okay.
So, but that'll be at 7. We're going to get a little drunk and not watch, but talk about the 4th season of Game of Thrones. And then we're supposed to, okay, so we ordinarily have Gungans and Dragons on Sundays at 7, but something weird is happening this week, so we're doing something else, and then that will resume next week, I presume. So you can join us for that. Real quick before we get into the other Star Wars news, George Lucas's 80th birthday was yesterday. Happy birthday, George Lucas.
Happy birthday.
I'm a little surprised that he's 80 years old. I thought he was in his 70s.
I mean, it makes sense.
I know, now that I think about it.
Yeah.
But it's the man's 80 years old now. I hope his kids are checking on him because that's pretty fucking old.
Yeah.
So happy birthday, George Lucas. Thanks for creating a franchise that most people will pretend to hate all the time on the internet. Rook, so this is in a different order than on because I was trying to make it make sense.
Hey, it's your show. Let's just do whatever you want.
Well, it's our show. Yes. We established it's our show.
All right.
Not their show.
Okay.
Sigourney Weaver. I've
heard of her.
Yo, I think everyone has.
She was in that one movie about the aliens.
Yes. Oh, that movie is coming out. That
the newest installment in the aliens.
Yeah, and it looks pretty fucking cool. But yeah, she plays
Ripley.
Right. And then I think she was in one of the Ghostbusters movies. Is apparently in talks to join the cast of The Mandalorian and Grogu, which is the film
continuation.
Well, finale really.
We'll see how that goes.
It's because
Disney, they will ride a cash cow into the ground.
Yeah. Right. And they so apparently they've been they're gonna wrap up all the storylines of all the Mandalorian era stuff with that movie. So Mandalorian, Skeleton Crew, which is supposed to be taking place around then, Ahsoka, which by the way I started a rewatch last night. Started watching because I think I've only seen it once all the way through. Forgot how amazing Ray Stevenson is as Balin Skull, and also how good the music is. Anyway, all that stuff's supposed to wrap up with this movie. Apparently, Sigourney Weaver is gonna. It apparently might be in it.
She is in talks.
Yeah, and I wonder. Hopefully, they're not just recasting Amy Sedaris's.
God, that would be a tragedy because Amy Sedaris is perfect in that role.
People were wondering about that because they have similar crazy hair, and it was so. First of all, Amy Sedaris is a comedian,
yes,
and that's why she's in that role. So you bet.
That's why she got the role of the woman who fucked a Jawa.
Yeah. Canonically, fucked a Jawa. Yeah.
Very furry.
Yes. Gross. Also, apparently, Pedro Pascal is supposed to come back for this movie. Maybe.
Okay.
But he's
busy with Fantastic Four.
Yeah, he's Reed Richards in Fantastic Four. Did you also see, speaking of Pedro Pascal, the first 2 images of Joel and Ellie from The Last of Us Season 2 were floating around online today. So that's really cool as well. So anyway, Sigourney Weaver is honestly an amazing actor. Yeah. She'd be
really good in whatever role they're casting her.
It would be a lot of fun to see her in there somewhere. Okay.
Next.
Ooh, I gotta tell you, Chris, I don't know what we're gonna do in a few weeks, because there's going to be so much shit happening, and I think we're going to have to do an after show for House of the Dragon. I think that's separate from the Acolyte.
Either that, or we just make the podcast like 3 hours long,
or we just sit and do it all, and however long it takes. We'll probably like take a little bit of a hiatus from our buzzed recaps, depending on how the scheduling is. I want the buzzed recap House of the Dragon season 1 to come out the week before the show comes out, which means that we'll probably record it 2 weeks before.
Okay.
But anyway, the reason I'm bringing up House of the Dragon is because the final trailer for House of the Dragon season 2 aired yesterday, and looks fucking great.
Yep. It's the same sort of like cryptic one-lines and reaction shots.
Fates.
And then like armies and dragons and all this shit.
I got to tell you, the VFX looks a lot better this time around. The VFX in the first season, let me just say that it's a good thing that the story was so amazing, because some of the effects look real chunky. When we rewatched it a few weeks ago, there's like a scene where, spoilers for House of Dragon season 1, when King Viserys' wife dies, and they put her out on the thing and they burn her with dragon fire. That fire looks so bad. It looks like they just drag and dropped from After Effects, and that's what it was. And there are a couple of other shots of like Daemon on the dragon that don't look very good. I noticed that the VFX in this trailer look like at least they're more polished. We're going to the wall. One of the shots is of Qui-Gon Stark. So you might remember at the end of the first season, Rhaenyra sends her 2 boys to treat with different important people in Westeros,
and then one of them gets chomped by a dragon. Which,
by the way, she was taught, like, after her father died, she was like, she does the Daenerys thing where she's like, I don't want to be the queen of the ashes, right?
Yeah.
They kill her son, and like the last shot of the entire first season is her turning around like, burn it all down, because I totally get it.
Fuck him.
So yeah, he didn't do so well on his mission, but she sent Jacaerys, her other son, north to the Starks, and because they're pretty cool as it turns out, and they have this thing about loyalty, and they have this thing about honor.
So I've heard. And
knowing that the king said he wanted his daughter to be the queen, and then someone else just usurped that, they're going to be like, oh hell no,
that's fucked up.
So Qui-Gon Stark, who is the son of Lord of, I think one of the Karstarks, maybe, I don't know, but he, I have not read the book. I don't know much about this. What I did notice was that he's got the Stark ancestral broadsword on him, ice, and they make a trip to the wall. They're just like standing on top of the wall, which looks really cool. I love the shot of Aegon, who's now king, allegedly.
Yes.
Walking into the throne room, and he's got like his squad behind him.
He's got one guy saying, "Oh, hey, Aegon!"
Yeah, they look like they're about to like drop their next release on Spotify or something. Damon, I have in my notes, Damon just super happy he gets to do a war.
Yeah, which is entirely in keeping with his character.
I feel like that's when he's happiest, is when he's just like burning things down and cutting people in half.
The thing where he went out and killed the pirate guy,
the crab feeder.
Yeah. He was having a great time.
Yeah, he liked that a lot. And it turns out looks like there might be a lot of war in this. And famously in the first season, something way different than Game of Thrones is that like every couple of episodes, there was a massive time jump. So much so that they had to recast a lot of the characters, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're doing any time jumps in this. I think the whole thing is just going to be the Dance of the Dragons.
Which
right?
makes sense. Like the first season, they had to establish why this war was happening. And now we have this a pretty considerable war that could take up an entire season.
I think they did all the time skips too, because I think in the book, like one page is that whole like 20 or 30 year like thing, and it's like, and this happened.
Yeah, I've heard like the entire scope of the show is like 3 pages.
Yeah, it's not that long. So the White Worm is still alive.
The fuck is the White Worm?
She's the woman that was hanging out with Damon for a while and then became a kind of a power broker.
Oh, okay.
/ spy. There's a shot of her. She had that like building.
Mm-hmm.
Someone set it on fire in the last episode of the first season.
Okay.
But we don't see a body, which in Game of Thrones means you shouldn't automatically assume they're dead. Yeah. So it turns out she's back. And it looks like she's more or less this time frame's version of Varys. She got all the spies everywhere and she knows everything about everything. And
the thing that really sticks with me from this trailer is at one point, Rhaenyra asks Daemon, "Do you accept me as your queen and ruler?" And Daemon just doesn't answer.
Yep.
I don't know if that's like trailer editing to make it seem like
deceptive. Yeah,
to make it seem like not all is well in the Blacks, or if it's actually that he's not so cool with her.
You know, it probably is. The scene's going to play out like this.
I could see it be either one.
This is how the scene's going to play out. Rhaenyra's going to be like, "Do you accept me as your queen?" He's going to sit there and stare pensively out the window. And she's going to be like, "Hey." And he's going to be like, "What? I didn't hear you." And she's going to say, "Do you accept me as queen?" He's going to be like, "Yeah. Sorry, I didn't hear you. I just didn't hear you."
I could see it.
Yeah. There are so many dragons.
Yes.
And that is maybe my favorite part of Game of Thrones total in like totality. There's a shot of Vhagar, that monstrous fucking dragon that Aemon. No, not Aemon. Oh God, we're gonna have to brush up on these names.
Yeah.
Who's the Daemon wannabe with the sapphire eye?
The eye patch kid.
Yeah,
I know who you're talking about. I don't know.
Is it not Aemon?
Maybe
because Aegon is his brother.
That seems real.
Yeah. So he in the first season took that dragon who's like the biggest living dragon, this like giant fucking mammoth creature,
because the dragon's rider died and her daughter was about to inherit. Then he just goes out there and says, "Nope, you're my dragon now."
Mine. Daemon's dragon Caraxes, who I think might be my favorite because he's just like this long noodle boy. And there's a Game of Thrones content creator called Glidus that I'm absolutely in love with, who made a joke about how would Caraxes wear a tie? Would he wear it down here or up near his like jawline? You know, I think we get a shot of Bela's dragon Moondancer, and then the thing I'm pretty sure that I saw, because I didn't take the time to like read any articles about this trailer. At the end of the first season, Daemon goes into a cave and sings to a dragon called Vermithor, who is one of like the 3 untamed, like probably shouldn't be fucking with them dragons.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure like one of the last shots of the trailer is Rhaenyra standing right in front of him. So I'm pretty sure they convinced Vermithor not to kill everyone. And there are 2 more. There's like the cannibal.
Well, yeah, that was part of Daemon. Somebody's pitch to Rhaenyra, like, your power is the dragons. Right. We need to go get all the dragons.
Yeah, I'm going to touch on that here in just a second. But there's also the cannibal who likes to eat other dragons. And then the sheep stealer.
Okay.
Because none of them are tame, so none of them have actual names, I don't think. So
this dragon just likes eating sheep, I guess.
Yeah. So when you think about the balance of dragon power, so Team Black has Rhaenyra's dragon, Caraxes, Melee's, who is Rhaenys's dragon. They are probably going to get the 3 wild dragons, Lucerys' dragon doesn't exist anymore because he got eaten. Or at least chewed up and spit out.
Yeah. Jacaerys?
Jacaerys' dragon. And then like Moon Dancer. I think Sea Smoke is a big wild card because I can't remember any of the names now. Rhaenyra's husband, first from House Valerian.
The gay one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So apparently there isn't an example anywhere of a dragon who has 2 living riders. Mm-hmm. They bond to one rider and that's it. And he hasn't died. He just fucked off with his boyfriend somewhere. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if they're going to be able to use that dragon or not. And then Team Green has Vhagar. To be fair, is the size of like 4 of their dragons.
Yeah.
Aegon's dragon. I can't remember their name.
Whatever. That might be it.
There's like one more, I think.
Maybe.
I can't remember.
I don't know.
But when you think about it, like the Team Black, so you would think that like Team Black has all these fucking dragons, right? Mm-hmm. But like 3 of them aren't very big. Most of them have never fought before. And the 3 of them are just like feral dragons who they like picked up off the street and who are just as likely to kill them as they are anyone else. So anyway, real excited about it. We will be doing weekly spoiler reviews of those when they come out, and it's going to be a ton of fun. Patty Jenkins. I really wish they'd stop fucking with me with this.
I feel like Patty Jenkins spends at least as much time doing press to assure everyone that Rogue Squadron is actually happening as she does actually working on Rogue Squadron.
Which is funny because I don't think it's even officially greenlit.
Well, like the thrust of the article that you put on our rundown is that she was in the process of putting together a script for this, but the writer's strike happened and that delayed everything.
Yeah.
So now she's still working on a script and hasn't turned anything in.
Yeah, because she's also doing like Wonder Woman 3, which apparently is happening.
I thought she got let go from that.
I thought that they
so she was going to do Rogue Squadron. She said, okay, I have to go do Wonder Woman. I'll be right back. Lucas said, okay, whatever. She went to work on Wonder Woman 3. WB was like, actually, no, we don't want you here. So she was like, okay, I guess I go back to Lucas and do Rogue Squadron. And then the writer's strike happened. I think. But like, apparently this movie is actually happening.
Which one? Maybe? Rogue Squadron or Wonder Woman 3?
Both?
I don't think I'm going to... The Wonder Woman 3 would be so weird because they're redoing the whole thing.
Like the thing is with how Warner Brothers has been run by their dickhead of a CEO, like I don't know that they're ever going to make any more DC movies.
Well, no, they are because they put man, I suck with names today. What the fuck? He did Guardians of the Galaxy.
James Gunn.
Yeah, he's the king of the DC world now. They put that picture out of Superman because there's going to be a Superman movie.
Yeah. I'm just saying they're not reality TV, which is all the fucking said dickhead CEO cares about.
Zaslav.
Yeah,
he is a douche. He really is. Respectfully.
Allegedly.
Don't have me murdered because you're a billionaire. But yeah, no, he totally is. So I don't know how they fit Patty Jenkins Wonder Woman into that whole thing.
Good fucking luck, I guess.
Yeah, she barely fits into the mess that they were dealing with before. And then you have random shit like the Matt Reeves Batman. Mm-hmm. And they're still doing what's his name? The Joker movie with Phoenix and
Lady Gaga.
Lady Gaga, yeah. So like, is that a part of the new slate?
I don't think. My understanding was the whole thing about the Joker movie was it exists completely separate from anything else DC.
Yeah,
which is really weird because now you have Joker without Batman. But
I really wish they wouldn't do that because Joaquin Phoenix, as it turns out, is a really good Joker. So I would love him to be the Joker from the Matt Reeves Batman. But nice. Barry Cohen is that Universal Joker, I guess.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Moving on.
Rings of Power.
Yes.
Let me preface this by saying I am not a huge Lord of the Rings fanboy.
Okay.
I've seen the Peter Jackson movies,
which are pretty good.
and I enjoyed 3 of them out of the 6, out of the 5?
6.
Okay, yeah.
Because that motherfucker somehow got 3 movies out of a book that is shorter than any of the other Lord of the Rings books.
It's been a long time since I've read any of the book. Like, I was a kid when I read the books. I have not read the supplemental material.
I don't blame you. The Silmarillion is drier than the desert.
Yeah. That, as a result, I am not really attached to like the canon.
Yeah.
So when Rings of Power came out,
and all the fanboys were screaming, "Oh, it's not the same as the Silmarillion. There's those differences."
right, which I was like, I haven't read that, so I don't give a fuck. And I enjoyed it.
And also, it's the only way Amazon could make it because they couldn't get the rights to the Silmarillion.
Yeah. Well, you also know they're rebooting the original Lord of the Rings.
Oh, are they?
Peter Jackson's doing.
Well, shit.
He's like they're doing them again.
Why?
I have no fucking clue.
Oh, wait, I know the answer. It's money.
Yeah, money. So the Amazon's doing a second season, and
which was incredibly obvious because the first season ended in a place where they had to keep going.
Also, I think they spent a lot of money to acquire the rights to do that. So like,
it was the most expensive season of TV ever or something.
Yeah,
if I remember right.
So they dropped a trailer for season 2 yesterday, and I'm gonna read to you my notes.
Okay.
Wasn't very long. Weird tentacle monster.
Yes.
Big sea monster. Big eagles.
Yeah.
Some kind of tower. Almost looks like the tower from Lord of the Rings.
Which I think it's meant to be.
Yeah.
Considering that's Mordor now.
Yeah. A bunch of returning cast.
Yes. I would assume most of them, including the one hot elf you liked.
Which one?
The archer guy. Who's in the East?
Well, actually, you know who I thought was really hot the whole time?
Who's that?
The spoilers for...
Oh, the guy, Sauron.
Yeah, the guy ended up being Sauron. Yeah, I was like, okay. I mean, you could do an evil
also
thing.
Fair.
Yeah. But I know the last season, there was like Chekhov's Balrog that's like getting ready to happen. So they're probably going to go there.
Yeah. Trailer had a couple shots of rings, like the 3 elven rings. I think they showed like
a dwarf with
a ring, and
that guy and his like bomb ass wife.
Yeah. What else? What else did I notice?
Big sea monster.
They said some very cryptic, whispery things about evil and how like he's getting into my mind. Like maybe it's always been there, and that rings true to evil in Tolkien's world, which is like this very insidious thing that like gets into you and makes you want to do evil.
Yeah, that's the in the books that like Sauron doesn't have a physical form throughout the books.
Right, because he lost it at presumably the battle that's going to end this show.
Yeah, so like the tower with the big fucking eyeball on it was an invention by Peter Jackson
to give Sauron a physical form that viewers could see.
And I know that Tolkien's like just the idea of evil is what the like the antagonist was. So it wasn't necessarily one
so it didn't matter that to Tolkien that his bad guy was a ghost. It mattered that he was able to whisper into Frodo's ear through the ring and say, "Hey, wouldn't it be cool to do all this evil shit?
Put the ring on. I'll put it in your butt. It'll be fun."
Yeah. Anyway, that
and then Sam's like, "What's happening?" He's like, "I don't know." He's talking to me about putting it in my butt.
Sam's like, "Interesting."
I'm not above it.
I'm not saying no.
I'll watch. Let me grab some elven bread. Go for it. All right, Star Wars Outlaws.
Yes.
There was an interview with the developers in Game Informer. So Massive Entertainment's doing Star Wars Outlaws. And they talked about the game a little bit, calling it the ultimate scoundrel fantasy. And they talked a little bit about Kay Vess's design. Apparently her hairpin she's for a lockpick.
Okay, cool.
The game emphasized like a lot of situations you can do the 1 or 2 things route where you run and gun or you do stealth.
The Deus Ex approach to game design.
Yes, which I'm always like I'm going to shoot everybody.
See, I'm usually the opposite. I try to sneak.
I get frustrated. I get bored.
I'm not always very good at stealth, so I do end up shooting everybody sometimes.
Yeah.
But I at least make the effort to be sneaky.
This is how far I get into the stealth component of most games.
Mm-hmm.
I hide behind the little cabinet
Yep.
and wait for the guard to move, and he doesn't move after like 3 seconds. I'm like, fuck it, I'm bored. I just kill everyone. Yeah. They talked about Tashara.
Yeah.
A planet that was inspired by the African savannah.
It's the one we saw in the reveal trailer.
Right. And players are encouraged to explore cities and settlements. I wonder how big this is going to be, like maps wise.
I have not played a recent Ubisoft game in a recent one, so I would guess it's about whatever size those are, but I have no way of knowing what that is.
Yeah. What else have they made?
Assassin's Creed, Far Cry.
I don't play those either.
Yeah, so
I end up comparing open world stuff to Red Dead Redemption 2 because I'm very familiar with how big that, and it's also a very large map. Yeah. So I wonder, I would imagine it's probably bigger than that, especially if they're doing like different planets. What I hope doesn't happen is that it ends up feeling like Jedi Survivor, which for Jedi Survivor felt fine because it wasn't supposed to be an open world. It was like it had open world elements, but mostly it's a narrative driven game that, you know. So I hope it's not like one of those things where like you can land and there's just like one like kind of small area and then that's it. Hopefully it's like, bigger stuff. So yeah. Let's talk about this Agatha thing.
Oh God.
Okay. So for some reason, so WandaVision was a show that happened.
Yes.
Starring the Scarlet Witch and
Vision
and their kids, Billy and Tommy, right? And then
there's this recurring side character named Agatha Harkness.
Right. She was a fan favorite.
Yes.
To be fair, Katie Hahn was amazing in that show.
Absolutely. Phenomenal actor.
Yeah. And so the MCU was like, oh, we'll do some more with her, right? Mm-hmm. So this thing has been in development forever, I feel like.
When did WandaVision come out? Because I feel like that was like the start of the pandemic.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
So
personally, I feel like the moment for this show has passed, but Marvel feels otherwise.
Yep.
Even while they're trying to scale back on other things, they're like, yeah, fucking give them more Catherine Hahn.
Yeah. It's funny because they're apparently scaling back they said they only want to do like 2 or 3 movies a year.
I think I read 2, but yeah.
Yeah. And then like maybe a show or something.
Yeah.
But this has been in the run for a while. And for some reason, there have been like leaks or just outright the MCU shows titles for this show in materials.
Yeah.
But there have been like 4 of them. So there was Agatha House of Harkness was like the first one, I think.
Okay.
Then there was Agatha Coven of Chaos.
Okay.
And so after the second...
Going real alliterative then.
Yeah. So like after the second renames, everyone's like, okay, so they just renamed it. And they're like, no, it's Agatha Darkhold Diaries. And everyone's like, are you fucking with us? And they're like, no. It's going to be Agatha the Lion Witch with Great Wardrobe. And everyone's like, you're fucking with us. And like, yeah, we're fucking with you. It's going to be called Agatha All Along. And it's coming like this year.
Supposedly.
Because originally, I think it was supposed to be coming Halloween next year. Like 2025. But it's coming in September of this year.
Okay.
So I'm going to watch it. I like it. I thought that was cool. So I think we got through all the news. We're going to do this shorter Star Wars story time, by the way. Oh, you know what we should do? We should play the thing.
Oh, yeah.
So we've not been able to do a Star Wars story time.
Because we've been very busy with other shit.
So we're in the calm before the storm, before Star Wars Acolyte, House of the Dragon.
Like 2 or 3 weeks before all that shit starts?
Yeah. I feel like there's also something else coming out around then.
The Boys?
Right. So we're going to be busy with a lot of shit. So for the next couple of weeks, we got a little bit of time to revisit this segment, which is more or less...
you read something and retell it to me in our typical irreverent and vulgar fashion.
Ordinarily comics. Not comics today, because I was like, okay, I want to make it a little bit shorter this week. So I picked up a YA novel from my youth that I absolutely adored, that I've been wanting to do for a long time. A series that we're going to keep doing because I think they're, despite being books for younger readers, have really good stories. When I mean younger readers, I flipped through it today. I could read that book in an hour and a half if I tried.
Sure.
I was obsessed with them in middle school. But we're going to be doing Star Wars: The Rising Force. This is the first book of the Jedi Apprentice series. The first book was written by Dave Wolverton, and then the rest of them after that, like all 12 of them or something, were written by Jude Watson.
Okay.
So this is more or less the story of how Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi met each other, right? Because it turns out, as you will find out over the next couple of episodes of this segment, Qui-Gon was not a huge fan of Obi-Wan to begin with.
Well, that makes a lot of sense knowing what we know of them, because Qui-Gon is very much sort of make it up as you go, always do good no matter what the rules say. And Obi-Wan is very by the book Boy Scout.
Yeah. He's a little less like that in Legends. I'll get into it. I will say that I also started reading, this is entirely aside, I'll probably cut this out for the video when I put it on YouTube, but I've also started reading The Living Force, which is a new novel that takes place before Phantom Menace, but like while
not very much.
Right. Obi-Wan is still Qui-Gon's apprentice. And I thought it was interesting, a thread that they keep throughout is that Qui-Gon has this characteristic that he's famous for, which is, other than him just pissing the Jedi off in general, he has an intolerance to living things suffering in general. So you'd send him on a mission somewhere. You'd be like, okay, I need you to go to Planet Fuckwit and negotiate this trade thing. And he'd be like, okay. He gets there. We'll talk to some rando at the spaceport who tells him about a thing that's happening with this entirely unrelated thing. And so like the next day, like the meeting that's supposed to be happening that he's at, like he's not there. And then like he shows up like 2 hours late and they're like, where the fuck were you? And he's like, sorry, I met this guy at the spaceport and like there was this whole thing. And but like that's always his focus, right? Is always like what living beings need my help. And the book that I started, The Living Force, opens with one of those things, but he's also like that in Legends too, which I really love. So while you're here, since this will be like a separate video, make sure you like the video and subscribe and do all that other stuff. Comment if you've read the book, because these are a little obscure. Like they're not just YA, they're like just a little younger than that, right? But they're really good. So let me know if this was like a big part of your childhood growing up. So the setting is 44 BBY.
Okay.
So this is 12 years before the Phantom Menace. Obi-Wan is 12, and he's almost 13. And he's still a youngling at the temple, which is a huge problem. Because in Legends, and I'm not sure that this is how it works anymore in canon, but in Legends, you trained as a youngling at the temple, and somewhere between 11 and 13, you're chosen as a Padawan by a Jedi Master. If you hit 13 and you've not been chosen by a Master, they just reassign you to some other thing and you don't become a Jedi Knight.
Kind of.
So you just age out, right? So he's 12, almost 13, like a few days away, and he's still at the temple, right? There are also different divisions of the Jedi. This is probably still true in canon.
Yeah.
Like the agricultural corps,
medical corps, the science corps,
So
the explorer corps. I think that's the fourth.
So they're not necessarily warriors,
but they use the Force to do good. Now,
this is the thing: is that Obi-Wan wants to be a Jedi Knight, right? Like he wants to do the cool shit, and so his heart's really set on it. So we open with this practice duel between Obi-Wan and his chief rival at Jedi school named Bruck Chun. Let me tell you, Chris, this guy's a huge cunt. And he's always teasing Obi-Wan. He's just kind of an asshole to everyone.
He has the Letterman jacket and the coned back hair. He has the cool car.
Right. Well, probably not. He's like the guy from Karate Kid.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So
there is no weakness in this dojo.
Not that guy, the student, the kid that picks on Dan.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
So Yoda is watching, and he's like trying to calm them down. because they're like really going at each other.
Don't actually kill each other.
But they are very much trying to kill each other. And so Obi-Wan wins the duel because he like wears Bruck down a whole bunch to where like he just can't lift his arms up anymore. And then he wins the duel. And Yoda like tries to give him both some advice about how to calm the fuck down. And they both just promptly ignore him, right?
Yeah. Round 2, let's go.
Yeah. And so Yoda's like, exciting news. Tomorrow, a Jedi Master named Qui-Gon Jinn will be here to watch everyone spar. And
Interesting.
everyone's real excited because everyone knows about Qui-Gon. And it would be really fucking cool to be his Padawan. But he's not chosen a Padawan in several years. There are various rumors why, but they all revolve around this rumor that he had a Padawan that he lost, right? And no one really knows what happened.
Yeah.
So Yoda's like, okay, well, I'm gonna leave everyone unsupervised now. A bunch of hormonal preteens. See you later and watch.
Don't fuck. Don't kill each other. Don't light any fires.
Yeah. So Obi-Wan and Bruck look at each other like, okay, we're not gonna fuck. We're not gonna fuck. We're not gonna light anything on fire. Let's fight each other again. Yeah. And so they have their like unauthorized duel. And they like beat the shit out of each other, right? They finish.
Gay.
They're 12. So they both agreed to do this, by the way.
Yes.
It's not like Obi-Wan attacked him or they were like, you know, Obi-Wan goes to where he sleeps. Bruck, the little bastard, goes up to the infirmary, pretends to pass out, and before he passes out says Obi-Wan. And so the guy that's in the infirmary is like, oh, well,
okay,
Obi-Wan assaulted this boy.
Clearly.
So Obi-Wan gets a knock on his door from the Jedi that's in charge of their clan. And it was like, so they found out that you beat the shit out of Bruck Chun. You're being transferred a couple days early to the Agricultural Corps. You leave tomorrow morning. Don't be such an asshole. And he's like, but he consented. Yeah. And he's like, well, his bloody ass was up in the infirmary, barely alive. And he's like, you don't think he was probably faking it? He's like, no, no one would ever do that. Certainly not a Jedi.
Why would anyone ever lie to put, their rival in a bad situation?
Anyway, good night. I hope this doesn't bother you too much. And he's like,
it bothers me a lot.
It bothers me a great deal. And so he goes, he's despondent. He's just really upset. So the next morning he has his final breakfast with his friends. He's got a few friends. And like Bruck tries to get a rise out of him because he got what he wanted and everything. And he's like saying goodbye to his friends. Meanwhile, Yoda and Mace Windu are having this conversation about Obi-Wan. And Yoda's like, we should let him stay for a couple of days and at least fight for Qui-Gon. And Mace Windu is like, fuck him, I don't care. No, he's done. Make him go be a farmer. And Yoda's like, well, wait, hold on. This training droid got footage of the fight. And so they watched the whole thing where it wasn't instigated by any one of them. They both agreed. And so Mace Windu was like, okay, I got to tell you, I have spent way too much time talking about a 12-year-old. So do whatever the fuck you want. Like, I don't care. You have my blessing. Not that you need it. You're fucking Yoda. But like, whatever you want to do.
I can absolutely see Samuel L. Jackson saying all that.
Yeah. So he gets a chance to fight for Qui-Gon. And then if Qui-Gon doesn't take him as a Padawan, he's going to go be a farmer, right? So the match that he watches, for whoever arranged this, it had to have been a huge asshole, was like, oh, let's have Obi-Wan and Bruck Chun. And he's like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Fucking damn it.
So they fight. Obi-Wan beats him, but he gives into some anger, right? It's fleeting. Like, it doesn't last that long, but Qui-Gon notices it.
Ooh.
After the match, Obi-Wan's in the locker room, and Qui-Gon just shows up. And Obi-Wan's like, you know what would really help me out is if you took me as a Padawan so I could be a Jedi Knight. And he's like, no way. I saw the whole anger thing. I'm really sorry. I know you want to be a Jedi Knight. I can't do it. I'm sorry to ruin your dreams. Goodbye.
Well, shit. Guess I'll go fuck myself then.
So Obi-Wan is crushed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Qui-Gon goes to meet with Yoda. And he feels real bad for crushing Obi-Wan's dreams. And Yoda's like, so when are you going to take an apprentice? Like, we need you to do your fucking job, right? And he's like, I don't know, maybe next year. And you find out that the reason that he doesn't want to take another apprentice is because his former apprentice, Xanatos, fell to the dark side and left the Jedi Order. Okay. And so he is real nervous about taking another student, right? So he's like, by the way, what is Obi-Wan's assignment? And Yoda's like, well, he's going to go join the agricultural corps.
He's going to go be a farmer.
Yeah, on the mining world of Bandamere. And Qui-Gon's like, what the fuck? That's where my next mission is. Like, I was requested by name, and I have no idea what they want from me, but that's where I'm going. And Yoda's like, huh, how about that?
Weird.
What a weird thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, you should probably go do that.
Yeah.
And he's like,
go pack your bags.
Yeah, I guess so. So they both leave for Bandamere, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obi-Wan's just resigned he's like, I guess I'll be a fucking farmer now.
Fuck me.
Yeah. He finds out that Qui-Gon's on the ship and he starts freaking out.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And he's like, oh my God, I still have a chance to impress Qui-Gon Jinn. Mm-hmm. And there's this whole thing. So the ship is transporting two competing mining companies, and they hate each other so much that they've sequestered themselves to each side of the ship. And there's like a line of demarcation and they will not,
This is how you know it's fantasy, by the way, because there is no fucking way that employees of two differing companies would care.
Yeah. It's like Walmart and Target.
Walmart and Target employees on the same ship. They're just like, hey, what's up? Let's all drink some beer.
So Obi-Wan makes a friend on the ship called Side Trimba, who's one of the miners. Mm-hmm. Some drama happens because there's a part for some of their mining equipment that ends up missing. Oh. And it's probably sabotage, right? So Obi-Wan's like, here's my chance to do a Jedi thing. Mm-hmm. So I'll solve the mystery, and then he'll take me as his Padawan.
Obvious.
Yeah. And so he and Side Trimba sneak onto the other side of the ship to look for the missing parts, right? On the side that presumably stole them.
Yeah.
So they don't find them because Side Trimba is an idiot. But he's really nice.
Yeah.
He is caught by Grelb the Hutt, who's like the second in command. And Obi-Wan is forced to reveal himself. He's like hidden somewhere and he's like, shit, I got to save my buddy. So he gets out and he's like, caught me. I'm a Jedi. I'm going to go be a farmer. And this makes everything worse. And now Qui-Gon looks really bad because a Jedi was meddling, right? And so Qui-Gon's like, you fucking idiot. Like, all you had to do was sit in your room and think about being a farmer.
Yeah.
That's all you had to do. So the ship is then attacked by pirates.
Oh, fun.
And Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan are forced to work together to defeat the pirates. Mm-hmm. And Qui-Gon's a little wounded. It's not serious. But they defeat the pirates, and a lot of the miners are killed, right? And so real quick, the Side Trimba is an Arconan. Mm-hmm. And they come from this world with like... The atmosphere has like high concentrations of ammonia. And so when they're not on their planet, they have to consume this material called dactyl to stay alive. Sure. Okay. Jabba the Hutt steals all their dactyl and he's like, you guys are now slaves for me. Like, you'll do my work and I'll give you this life-saving nutrient. And Qui-Gon's like,
no,
I don't think so.
No,
we're
just no.
We're solving this right now. And then the captain's like, well, actually, we're crash landing because the ship was like damaged, right, in the pirate attack. So they land. While they're repairing, Jemba hides the dactyl so no one can find it because like Qui-Gon's like, I'm putting a stop to this right now. Mm-hmm. Qui-Gon figures out where he hid it, which up on the cliffs overlooking this ocean, right? And Grelb the Hutt, Jemba's second handman, and men attempt to kill him while he's like climbing up the rocks. Yeah. But this native species of dragons attack them. So they're like, fuck it, we're going back home or back to camp. So it turns out the Arconans are really sick because they haven't had this substance, right? And like Qui-Gon, they're all like hiding out in a cave, and Qui-Gon or Obi-Wan uses the Force to get Qui-Gon's attention, who's like, look, these guys are in trouble. Like we need to do something. So Qui-Gon returns with the dactyl.
Good news, everyone.
But a fight breaks out. And what ends up happening is that Grelb the Hutt accidentally shoots Jemba the Hutt, and then Grelb gets eaten by one of the dragons. So
good, fuck him.
So they're both dead. Yeah. So yeah. So and Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon successfully defend everyone else against the dragons. They leave and they kind of look at each other and they're like,
okay,
kind of glad those guys are dead. Like this could have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
And Qui-Gon is like, he has to admit to himself that maybe he underestimated Obi-Wan a little bit. So they resume the trip to Bandamere. Qui-Gon's still like, I'm not taking it as my Padawan though. Like he got some skill, kid.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, but no.
Appreciate the assist, but you're gonna be a fucking farm.
Yes. Don't call me. I'll call you.
Except I probably won't.
Yeah. So they get to Bandamere, and a police officer meets Qui-Gon at like the landing pad. And
sir, do you have a license for that lightsaber?
So Qui-Gon's like, okay, what the fuck am I doing here? It's been a really long trip.
Yeah.
Your government called me. It isn't exactly clear to me what I'm supposed to be doing here or why you guys wanted me specifically. Yeah. And the cop's like, I have no idea, but maybe this will help. And he hands him a note. And like he opens up the note and like Obi-Wan, who's still like trying just to be in the proximity of Qui-Gon just in case he changes his mind, like reads it over his shoulder. And the note reads, I've been looking forward to this day, signed Xanatos, his fallen dark side apprentice.
Oh.
And that's the end of the book. And then the next story is really good too.
Yeah.
So that's the end of our Star Wars story time. This is like Star Wars story time light because I wanted to make sure we didn't start our Game of Thrones recap like 10 minutes late. So that's our show today. If you're here on Twitch, which is the only
way you can watch us.
Yeah, for some reason OBS didn't let us go to YouTube today. I hope that will rectify itself. Thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. And we'll be back next week, Wednesday, 6 o'clock for another episode. We love you guys. Goodbye.
Bye.